Hey, Jackie, here we are at the world-famous Palimony Club in Southern California. Who do you think's playing tonight?
Oh, I don't know. Let's be quiet and see. It could be anybody.
Let's all give a big Palimony welcome to pretty Miss Lynn Halsey Taylor.
It's a little sexist the way you introduced her, but I'm game for anything.
Well, I'll listen to it a little bit anyway. If you're playing at the Palimony Club, you got to be pretty good. So let's just sit back and enjoy this.
Thank you. Okay, red voice.
Oh, she looks just like Sondra Locke.
Spitting image.
Hey, that's a good steel guitar.
I like it so far. This sounds pretty good, yeah. Yo, what?
Oh, shit, she sounds like Sondra Locke, too.
All right.
No, Jackie, you got to sit here with me.
I don't want. I'm not gonna sit through. How long is this song?
I'm thinking about what I'm doing with a boy like you.
All right, I'm leaving.
Is this how you sing a song?
I want to watch this chick for a minute.
Yesterday was more or less just like
All right.
the one before.
Enough. All right.
And time don't matter when there's nobody else around.
All right. Okay. I'm going to the bathroom at least or something. I'm gone.
Jackie, you don't want to go in there, I promise you. That monkey shit all over everything.
It can't be any worse than this.
Laugh all you want to, Jackie, but actually Sondra Locke didn't want to sing in this movie. Clint Eastwood forced her to. She was afraid she'd make a fool of herself. She knew she couldn't sing, and he insisted.
Oh, hell. Are you telling me I can't even make fun of Sondra Locke singing anymore?
The patriarchy has many victims.
Oh, hell.
All right, let's get out of here.
Right turn, Clyde.
What we're dealing with here is a complete lack of respect for the law.
Redneck Matinee. It ain't gonna hurt. You got the one snowman out. He's bound and down. Nice song. Did you write that?
No, wish I did. Just a song my daddy used to sing me when I was little.
I don't know if a daddy should be singing I Sang the Night to her when she was little, depending on how little she was.
I don't know, Jackie. I remember plenty of nights my daddy singing me to sleep. What a girl today.
All right.
What a girl today.
All right. It was bad enough listening to her do it.
No, I can make it worse.
I know you can.
Clint Eastwood ain't even forcing me to do it. I'm doing it on my own.
Enough.
Jackie, we're here today to celebrate the 1978 motion picture Every Which Way But Loose.
And its 1980 sequel, Any Which Way You Can.
Clint Eastwood.
Monkey.
Ruth Gordon.
Monkey.
Bare knuckle brawling.
Monkey.
And, of course, what these movies are most famous for, several top-notch vocal performances by Miss Sondra Locke.
There's one too many women in your life. The one you say you love, and the one you call your wife.
The Good, the Bad, and the Very Ugly by Sondra Locke is her memoir in which she recalls that she told Clint Eastwood, I can't sing. I can't even stay on pitch. I think I'm tone deaf or something. It's just not possible, Clint. I'll make a fool of myself. You'll be great, lovey. Ugh. I'll get you some singing lessons, were his final words. So he forces her to sing, and then at the recording session, I was having a terrible time staying on pitch or key or whatever it's called, and Clint was slowly but surely getting quietly hysterical. I could see right away that one of the reasons he and I had been so perfect together was that I was a straight-A student and had never disappointed Daddy. Now I was not only disappointing Daddy, I was doing it in front of all these people.
When it comes to singing, I don't think Clint Eastwood's got much room to say anything about whether it's good or bad.
Engine hums and bitter dreams grow, heart locked in the Gran Torino. It beats a lonely rhythm all night long.
Sondra Locke, Jackie, grew up in Shelbyville, Tennessee, just down the road here from Murfreesboro. She attended Middle Tennessee State University here in Murfreesboro,
Right
Tennessee.
here in Murfreesboro, yeah.
She did not finish up, but she won a Oscar nomination for The Heart is a Lonely Hunter in 1967.
Good for her.
Had several roles in the early 70s, and then was in The Outlaw Josey Wales with Clint Eastwood, which I believe that's when they got together romantically. Is that correct?
I believe so, and they stayed together for some time. She worked with him over and over again here because she did Outlaw Josey Wales. After that, did The Gauntlet. I like that one a lot, Gauntlet, and the bus gets shot up. Then he did, of course, she did the movies that we're talking about right now, Every Which Way You Can, Any Which Way But Loose. Then she did Old Bronco Billy. I like that one, too. And then that Dirty Heroin, Sudden Impact.
Come here, Snow White.
What?
This is from her book. This is when her and Clint Eastwood started to get together. He called Snow White was one of the pet names he gave me because he said my skin was as white as snow.
She's pale.
Reminded him of the heroine in a fairy tale.
Well, she's pale, yeah. White, yeah.
Don't you worry. Just let your old dad take care of things, okay?
What?
That's Clint Eastwood talking to his girlfriend.
What?
He spoke gently, soothing me. Early on, the dynamics of our relationship was established as parent-child.
What?
He was daddy, and I was his perfect little girl.
All right.
He loved for me to call him daddy.
Okay, can we talk more about the movie?
And in turn, it made me feel safe and protected. Okay, I said, my tears subsiding. Now put your arms around me.
Okay. Let's just talk about the movies now, all right?
Yes, Daddy.
Hey.
So Sondra Locke never got divorced from her husband, Gordon Anderson, who she grew up with in Shelbyville.
But she lived with Clint Eastwood for years and years, right?
Yeah, when he kicked her out of the house, she sued him for palimony because they'd been living together for years. Her husband was gay, and they were like brother and sister, and they've been friends. I believe he has her ashes. So they called each other Hobbit. Clint Eastwood, not always super supportive of this relationship.
Well, it's unusual, I'll say that, to some degree, if you're married and you're living with another man, but then he's also gay and you call him Hobbit.
You sound just like Clint Eastwood, Jackie.
I don't mean to say
Welcome to the 20th century.
I just don't understand it. Excuse me, forgive me, to each his own, but
half of her book, by the way, is about her husband, Gordon Anderson. It like alternates between chapters of like Clint Eastwood and then Gordon Anderson. And it's a lot of mystic Gordon having like visions and like mystic. There's a whole scene where their cat leads them to the toilet.
What?
And they just look at this weird magic water in the toilet.
What? This is in the book?
And it's pages, and it changes shape, and they're just, come on, Gordon, forget the camera. It's a triangle now. And then it turns into a ram's horn.
What?
And then the face, she said an eastern face with a third eye in the book. This is in the book.
In the toilet.
In the toilet. And he scoops out some of the water to have it examined later. They take it to doctors.
It sounds like between this and all the stuff that went on between Clint Eastwood, somebody needs to make the Sondra Locke story.
This would be I could see this being like a 10-episode FX show.
I'd look at some of it. Yeah, it sounds interesting.
And listen, there's a lot of stuff in this book where she's just, and then I started seeing signs, the street lights were turning on and off, and in these pictures, Gordon had a halo of light around his, and then there was one picture, there was no halo, and then we looked at the negative, and like, there's a halo. This is, seriously, hundreds of pages. But that shouldn't make you think Clint Eastwood dodged that bullet. Clint Eastwood does not come off great from everything she says in the book and everything anybody could possibly tell about Clint Eastwood just from living. He's a control freak, and it was nice that he put her in his movies, but I think he just wanted to keep her under his.
Well, he got mad when she wanted to do other movies and things like that.
He did not want her to play Rosemary Clooney in the Rosemary Clooney TV movie.
Yeah, well, he didn't want her to do anything, I don't guess.
She wanted to direct. Sort of a pioneer. There's plenty of women directors, right? Not nearly enough, but she was one of the early mid-'80s women directors. In her book, she says Clint Eastwood was controlling during the editing, during the whole process.
Now, you think he was trying to help her, or was he just trying to...
Well, the movie's called Ratboy, and in the book, he's like, let's edit all the weird stuff out.
Of Ratboy?
Yeah. There's one scene where she was her character got fired because she's starring in it and directing. And her character gets fired, and she's on the floor in a bathroom eating a candy bar, crying. He's like, Sondra Locke eating a candy bar in a bathroom floor. It's disgusting. I mean, it is kind of disgusting.
Yeah, I don't know if it's something I want to watch.
But still, I'm not directing the movie.
It's her movie, yeah. Well, I guess let her do what she want to.
Plus, he was screwing around on her the whole time. He made her get 2 abortions, and he's like having out-of-wedlock kids with some other chick.
All right. Enough about Clint Eastwood and Sondra Locke, the personal life. Let's get on to the work and their collaborations as artists.
So I shouldn't read any more of this toilet thing?
No, I don't want to hear any more of that toilet thing. Save that for later.
What about the part where he talks to his dead cat in the freezer, and every time that he closes the door, he's like, I heard her meowing.
All right, I don't want to hear any more of this. Save that for later. That's Sondra Locke.
What later?
I don't know what later. Let's talk about the damn Clint Eastwood movies.
This is the only time I'm ever going in my life going to get to talk about Sondra Locke's husband talking to a dead cat.
I don't want to talk about it, all right? Yeah, if somebody go make that movie, I'll watch it.
All right. If anybody wants to start a Sondra Locke podcast with just me, let me know. Hit me up.
All right.
So Sondra Locke sues Clint Eastwood for palimony after he kicks her out of their house that they lived in together in Hollywood after years and years and years. 13 years, maybe?
Long time. They worked
Long
together.
time.
Yeah.
He had houses other places, but he was saying, well, she's still married. I mean, he was using all this weird stuff against her, even though they'd been together for 13 years, and he was just trying to find an out to keep her from getting a house. He was moving on. So Sondra Locke sued him for palimony. Clint Eastwood gave her a deal for her to drop the lawsuit, that she would get a development deal at Warner Brothers, where he was at the time, to develop directing projects for her.
Ratboy.
This was after Ratboy.
Oh, okay.
So she's already directed a couple of movies. So this was supposed to be her development deal at Warner Brothers. And I think she did get that house from a house and some money, like $400,000 from Clint Eastwood.
Well, that's how those big Hollywood relationships fall apart. It's too bad they couldn't keep the personal out of the professional, because I would have loved to see them go on and make more movies. I like all those movies at the end. I mean, it sounds awful for them personally making them, I guess.
Yeah.
So that I don't like, but as far as what the outcome of what it come, I enjoy every one of those movies I mentioned earlier. I like all their collaborations.
So Sondra Locke she claims 30 projects to Warner Brothers, and they declined all of them. She also had breast cancer during this time. And then she sues Clint Eastwood again because this whole deal he set up was basically just to get her off his back. He's like, just give her a deal. It was like a Warner Brothers, whatever you say, Clint. And he reimbursed Warner Brothers for all the costs that they went through, like reading her scripts or whatever. And then they wrote that off as overages on Unforgiven. So there was no investment in Sondra Locke in this deal. It was all set up just so he didn't have to worry about her, and she would drop the palimony suit. He got out of it like with the least muss and fuss he thought possible. But then she sued him again, and all this really came to light. He pretty much admitted it, and then they settled out of court.
So she got some money and everything. Unfortunately, she didn't get to make more movies. But
no, I guess one way of looking at it is that he had a chokehold on her career the entire time. Sure, he put her in his movies, but he didn't like her doing anything outside of his movies. Ratboy is kind of the turning point in their relationship because she's directing, working with her husband on it. And he was trying everything he could to exert control over that. And then, he kicked her out of the house.
The one that she eventually won.
We think
maybe.
A house.
Well, she got a house and some money. Well, it's a shame.
But instead of being a pioneering woman director in the 80s.
Well, she still did some pioneering. She was, around that time, she still did make some movies. It's a shame she didn't get to make more. But I want to focus more on the good times in this. Sorry that it ended horribly, as many Hollywood relationships, I guess, sort of do.
She said, looking back, I wish I had done more to seize that moment to develop my possibilities outside the familiar cocoon of Clint and Warner Brothers. I should have used my film to move into new professional circles that might have been more simpatico with my own sensibilities. Despite Clint's continual objections, I should have gotten a new agent who would have parlayed my film into a directorial career for me. After all, I was one of the first few women directors in Hollywood, but I was a complete innocent politically and business-wise. And in spite of my excitement about directing, my primary thoughts were more about repairing my personal life. Clint and I had never before had such a major disagreement. We'd still been on our honeymoon, even though she was married. Good going, Clint Eastwood. Also in these movies, Jackie.
Yeah.
She's always playing with Clint. You look at Clint Eastwood in these movies, you're like, oh man, I feel sorry for you. I know it. This chick's crazy.
Well,
but he's the one making her be crazy in the movies because he's directing them.
In these two particular movies, definitely something ain't right with her. With her character, that is.
You're just not too smart, are you? Why couldn't you just quit like everybody else? You had to come chasing me and spoil it all.
Because I'm just not too smart, that's all. Because up to now, I'm the only one dumb enough to want to take you further than your bet.
I hate you.
Just to be sure to let everybody know, that's her knocking the hell out of him, not the other way around.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, just so you know. It's shot from the same point of view when he's having fights with all the bare-knuckle brawling he does. But she's hitting him in this.
Switch it around, yeah.
Switcheroo. Switcheroo. Also in this movie, Geoffrey Lewis.
Or Joffrey. Great at turning his hat around on his head. One of the great character actors, and Clint Eastwood used him a lot, and a lot of people used him throughout the 70s and 80s and 90s and on, yeah.
I've never seen anybody turn their hat around on their head as good as Geoffrey Lewis does in this.
He's about the best, I'd say, yeah.
Young Beverly D'Angelo in the first one. She doesn't make it back to the second one.
Yeah, he gets a girlfriend. Lewis gets a girlfriend.
Geoffrey Lewis picks her up at a fruit stand on the side of the road, which,
yeah.
I mean, I've bought a lot of squash, but
that's the 70s.
I've never seen Beverly D'Angelo at one of these things.
But yeah, he don't get a girlfriend in the second one. There ain't enough time for her in that. That's Vacation Lady, right?
Yep, Vacation Lady,
yeah.
And also Ruth Gordon.
Oh, yeah.
Funny cusser.
Best one. One is the best one in it. Her and the monkey, I'd say. It's between one of them.
A long-time Academy Award nominated writer, actress since the silent era. This is her at the height of her comeback. What it started like Rosemary's Baby, I guess. She got nominated for Academy Award for that, for acting.
Yep.
Harold and Maude. But as far as shooting and cussing, this is probably her best work.
This is what you want to see, yeah.
Adam's Rib is, I'm sure, a great screenplay, but shooting at a motorcycle gang while calling them every name in the book.
Cussing that monkey, too.
Cussing a monkey. I'm sure Pat and Mike is great, but cussing a monkey, is that even in that?
Hi. My name's Philo. You mind if I sit here for a while, do you?
Suit yourself.
I don't recall seeing you around here.
I've never been here before.
Where do you go when you're not here?
My name is Carol. I go to USC. I major in sociology, and I'm here because I'm doing a paper on the country western mentality.
I just blew 5 minutes of our conversation.
Well, you asked if you could sit, didn't say nothing about talking.
Tell me, just what is the country western mentality?
Well, if the lyrics of the song are any indication, it's somewhere between moron and dull normal. Oh my Jesus Christ! You are disgusting! Oh, let's leave. Go.
What happened? This wild clam got out of control.
As Clint Eastwood put some teeth in that college lady's clam chowder, and then she tried to get a bite, and the teeth was in the spoon. That's what him and Geoffrey Lewis go out doing on a Friday night, I reckon.
Can I just say, there's a lot that's problematic with that scene.
Well, yeah.
One thing I never want to hear out of Clint Eastwood's mouth again is the word clam. So country music in this movie is a big, big part of both these films. The soundtracks were produced by Snuff Garrett, who I think we're going to talk about more on the Smokey and the Bandit 2 podcast, because he also produced that country music laden soundtrack. Mel Tillis is in Every Which Way But Loose, and he's in Smokey and the Bandit 2.
Yeah. He was in a lot of movies around that time, yeah.
But you can't get much bigger in country music than Mel Tillis in 1978, and Clint Eastwood has him introduce Lynn Halsey Taylor.
Oh, yeah.
So, Jackie.
Yeah.
Every Which Way But Loose, theme song, Eddie Rabbit.
Good. I like that one. Yeah.
Any Which Way You Can, theme song, Glenn Campbell.
Also good. I don't know if it's got just the classic sound, of Every Which Way But Loose, but still Any Which Way You Can is a damn good song.
Which is the best?
Well,
if you had to do a death match between Every Which Way You Can by Eddie Rabbit and Any Which Way, God damn it.
Every Which Way But Loose, Eddie Rabbit, Any Which Way You Can, Glenn Campbell. Eddie Rabbit song is a more classic song. I think most people would recognize that right out the gate. It's got that drum, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what makes it a little bit better.
In the first movie, when that man gets mad at Clint Eastwood and calls Clint Eastwood a squirrel, and then they have a bar fight, and then he throws Clint Eastwood throws him into the jukebox, and then it's like, doom, 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 boom, doom, every which way. That's good.
See, that's how you want to introduce your theme song right there. There ain't no better way to do that. Glenn Campbell just sings Any Which Way You Can, just, somewhere in a bar around the middle of the movie. But it opens up with a duet between Clint Eastwood and Ray Charles. That's right. It's a song called Bears to You.
Ray, you remember back in Phoenix? We walked into that fight.
Uh-huh.
We whipped them local boys.
Oh, didn't we?
Then we bought them drinks all night.
And when my loving wife left for points unknown, you were there to fill my glass. And it proved to me a woman's love can fade, but the taste of coals and a good friend always last. Huh?
When Ray Charles does that, he sounds genuinely confused. Is he acting the part of the song, or is he genuinely confused why he's singing with Clint Eastwood?
That is a lot of exposition and bros before hoes sentiment he has to get in that one verse. I will say I would have loved to have seen that fight, that bar room with Clint Eastwood and Ray Charles beating up a bunch of Arizona rednecks.
That's another movie right there.
That's a third part of this.
Yeah. Clint Eastwood's too old and Ray Charles dead, though.
Country music itself, Jackie, is almost a character in these films. I like it when people say things like that. Music is a character in these motion pictures, but it's true, Jackie. You got a lot of country music cameos in here.
Oh, yeah.
You got Phil Everly.
Charlie Rich, yeah.
Fats Domino.
Yeah.
Mel Tillis.
Mel Tillis is good, yeah.
Yeah, you got Jim Stafford playing a part. So I don't guess he's supposed to be Jim Stafford, but he's singing Cow Patty, hanging out with Northern Exposure and Julie Brown. Oh, Julie Brown, she's not country, but she sang Homecoming Queen's Got a Gun.
What is it?
I mean, now, I don't know if that would get on the airwaves.
What?
I don't think it did in the 80s either, but. And Jackie, the Palimony Club seems like a great venue, I'll admit.
I don't know why they got it in California, but I guess that's what they got to have it out there. But, I'd love to go with Palimony Club, except for somebody putting some false teeth in my soup. I wouldn't like that.
Okay. You're right. Yeah, it is funny.
Yeah, it is pretty good.
It's funny. I'll admit it. It's funny.
It's good.
Yeah.
I don't need any handouts.
Handouts are what you get from the government. A hand up is what you get from friends.
And a hand job is what I got in the Flying J bathroom last night.
All right. I don't want to hear that. Nobody does. Shut your mouth. Now, this right here, that's the same thing Clint Eastwood said to that empty chair when he said he's talking to Obama at the Republican convention, I think.
That's right. Yeah, I knew I recognized that from somewhere. Listen, folks, you don't have to take political advice from a man who jogs in jeans, as we saw several times throughout both these movies. Hey, I mean, it's political for a monkey movie, but it's nothing compared to that Marxist screed Dunstan checks in.
All right, Clyde, you're going to meet a lady now. Understand? I want you to handle it. That means no spitting, pissing, farting, or picking your ass. You hear me?
That goes double for you, Jackie.
What?
Clint Eastwood's pretty strict. I mean, if I was his friend instead of that orangutan, I don't know that I wouldn't have busted through several of them rules right off the top. Every Which Way But Loose, Jackie, is the story of Philo Beddoe, played by Clint Eastwood, whose best friend is Clyde the orangutan. Philo Beddoe is a bare-knuckle brawler, very famous in, I don't know, at least Sherman Oaks. And he and the monkey and his friend Geoffrey Lewis, that looks like Geoffrey Lewis, though, doesn't it?
Oh, with the way he spells it, yeah, but I guess it's supposed to be Jeffrey. It's Scientologists that they do that, I guess.
That's how they keep you keep you on your toes. You never know.
Yeah.
So him and Geoffrey Lewis and Ruth Gordon, they like to fight. Clint Eastwood chases a woman to Colorado.
Kind of stalks her, but yeah.
Sondra Locke.
Yeah.
And he has some fights along the way. Shabby, shambling, 70s, hippie-esque Clint Eastwood, tough, monkey-loving movie.
Yeah. But fun, a lot of fun, a lot of rambling fun, a good road movie. Now, the second one, Any Which Way You Can, now this is about one fight and one fight only. The first one, he stops here, makes a little money, fights this person. But this one's all about the mafia, the gambling mafia, getting him to sign up for this fight, and it's all about them pressuring him. Now, there's some interesting things along the way. He becomes friends with his opponent, and he becomes conflicted. Sondra Locke is back, which you'd never expect from the first movie, but here she is again. But this was more of a regular sort of narrative, I'd say, than the first one, for sure, yeah.
It feels more like an actual movie in the second one, and also that takes some of the joy out of it.
But it still carries enough of the odd and strangeness from the first one that there's some genuinely strange moments in Any Which Way You Can. I'm going to say there's a few in there. Some of them may even be better than the first one. For instance, Any Which Way You Can is the first time we ever hear...
Right turn, Clyde.
I really thought that was in the first movie, too.
I did, too. That's the first thing you think of when you think of these. But no, it didn't come till Any Which Way You Can.
I think people think of Right Turn Clyde, and they also think of this biker gang, which is in both of them. The second one, they're even cartoonier and goofier. But I don't know if people remember they're Nazis.
They have. If they're not, they shouldn't be wearing a bunch of swastikas, because they got wherever this place where these bikers live has got swastikas on the wall and
iron crosses. They got wearing little Nazi flags. They got swastikas up in their clubhouse.
It's a small little apartment, what it looks like. And when they're all in there, good God, can you imagine the smell?
Oh, the smell. I know people will think this is crazy, and I'm not saying that it didn't enable racism and Nazism, but I think there was a time in the 70s when people would say, what are y'all, Nazis? No, we're just using these swastikas as decoration. And people are going, okay, well, whatever, I guess. There was a time when being a Nazi was so frowned upon that you could get away with swastikas just trying to look cool. Yeah. You couldn't get away with it. Let me go back. People would have said, that's offensive. You're a fuckhead. I was in a concentration camp. Like my granny, people would have given you down the road for it, but I think a lot of dumbasses thought they were getting away. Look, I'm not trying to defend Nazis. How did we get off on this right at the beginning? They have it in the movie. It's the same with the Confederate flag. Are y'all racist? No, we just like his flag. You can't do that anymore. Thank God. It took us 40 years to say, no, you can't have a swastika and you can't have a damn Confederate flag because that means that you're a racist.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, there was a time
at the least.
Well, we're living in a time now where Nazis, are extra scared because, they're beating the hell out of people in the streets and whatnot these days. Now, back then, I'm sure there were some people who did the same in the 70s, but the Nazis were thought to be, they were so silly and it was so stupid.
The movies made Nazis stupid, and it made Confederate flag people stupid, and we thought, oh, we've taken care of racism.
Yeah.
Turns out that was not true.
Yeah, turn around. Yeah,
people were trying to tell us back then.
Yeah.
That it was not true. But we were like, no, we took care of it. Because in that movie, Clint Eastwood, they're stupid.
Yeah.
So there's no such thing as racism anymore.
They are stupid in this Clint Eastwood movie. But they never spout any. All you have to do is wear swastika. You don't have to say anything.
They are all white.
They are all white. That's very true. Yeah.
I think, but they're also mostly fat. And they're not good at fighting until they fight the cartoonish, Italian stereotypes, mafiosos.
That's in part two.
At the end of the second one.
You gotta wait for a whole movie before they get in,
Most of the rest of the first one is just Clint Eastwood beating them up, and then the second one they get covered in tar, and then they lose their hair.
Well, also in the first, just random people beat them up occasionally too. It's just not Clint Eastwood. They get beat up by everybody.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
There is a long restaurant parking lot fight in the first one where some seriously middle-aged people kick the shit out of them.
Yeah, they beat the hell out of them, yeah. Of course, they're all middle-aged, too, so, yeah. But other than the swastikas, they're kind of funny. Like I said, they get a little funny in the second one, I think. Gets a little more ridiculous. They're already ridiculous, so just pile on. That's one aspect, like I said earlier, even though it's a more conventional movie, there's still elements that they take and kind of push a little bit further than we expected to, and that'd be one. All of them, they lose their hair and they all have to wear wigs. I like it. That's good.
Another thing that's in both movies is monkey sex. Very important in both films for Clyde the orangutan to get laid.
Yeah.
Milo, I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
I'm talking about Clyde, damn it.
You think he doesn't understand. He's just sitting back there all the time. You don't think he understands, but he's really smart. Yeah, and I'll tell you something, Orville. Thinks about a lot of things besides Oreo cookies. Right, Clyde?
Milo, you don't mean...
I mean exactly that.
Milo, where the hell are we going to get Clyde laid in the middle of the night?
Now, I'm not saying this happened, but this could, why is he so worked up about it? Remember, he comes in, busted in the hotel. I mean, it ain't fair. We don't know. Clyde was out drinking with him all night, so he could have been trying to do Lord knows what to Clint Eastwood on the way back to the hotel. He said, we have got to get this monkey, satisfied, taken care of. We don't know if that happened or not. I don't know.
Clint Eastwood chasing Sondra Locke across several states, maybe having his own issues with consent. And so he takes Clyde to a zoo to find the lady orangutan there, and they do, and that seems fairly consensual. In the second one, they take Clyde back to another zoo, in San Bernardino Zoo. He's got a clip in is there a San Bernardino Zoo?
I don't know. It sounds like something that'd be one, but I don't know.
Sounds like more like a swap meet. Like a parking lot where you can buy exotic birds and a camo shirt with a Bible verse on it.
Oh, yeah, a place where you can get a good funnel cake, pet a spider monkey or a little alligator, and get a big bucket of Jim Baker fried squash.
But there is a San Bernardino Zoo. They take Clyde to the San Bernardino Zoo, and they try to get Clyde to drug a lady ape and bring her out.
Put drugs in a banana, put the needle in the banana, then you feed the banana, knock a lady gorilla, put her to sleep.
Despite your irresistible charm, old buddy, she may have some reservations. So you just feed her this banana, and it'll put her out. Not more than about 40 minutes, though. Now, if that doesn't work, just pop her in the ass and squeeze the bulb. Got that?
Wow. I knew it was going to be dicey when we got to the part about the date raping orangutan. But hearing that clip isolated, it's even worse than I imagined.
Yeah.
I thought, well, it's an orangutan. It's not so. It's really, that's pretty dark. He keeps giving him less consensual methods of. He starts with a drugged banana. Offer her that. If she doesn't want that, here's the needle.
Well, you think you get out of this sticky situation when you're watching the movie, because the first thing Clyde does when he takes that needle is to stick it in his own rear end and just falls out, high, which, that thank goodness we don't have to see anybody go through what they were talking about.
That's a good lesson.
Yeah.
Like, it's better to get high than to do what Clint Eastwood is suggesting.
Yeah. But unfortunately, I think when he goes out, Clint Eastwood just goes over there and gets a lady orangutan on his own, drugs it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're not going to disobey Clint Eastwood's orders.
No.
In this weird cult. Clint Eastwood's also very vulnerable in both these movies.
That's part of the appeal of this character, I think, because you got to figure, now we're looking in hindsight here at these movies, and these are as famous a Clint Eastwood movie as any, but you got to think about what he'd done before this. It was Westerns, he'd just come off The Gauntlet, and he had outlawed Josey Westerns and Dirty Harry. So some people, I think, from what we gathered from reviews and stuff at the time, people were offended that he would do something like this. But this is the only. How many times is Clint Eastwood funny in something? I mean, these two. He tried to do that thing with Burt Reynolds. What's the name of that thing? And when is that?
City Heat. After these.
Yeah, way after these. Way down the road, I think. Yeah, and nobody went to see that. But everybody went to go see these movies. These movies were very, very successful. I think the first one was one of the biggest hits of Clint Eastwood's career. What, $100 million, something like that?
I think that they both, if you adjust for inflation, they're both his biggest movies. These two are his biggest movies.
It's hard to believe. You think all these other movies, and in some regards, some better films than these. But I had a ball watching both these. I'm going to say right off the bat, I enjoyed them. You know, whatever problematic thing here and there. I had a good time watching Clint Eastwood and an orangutan. I don't see how you could have a bad time watching Clint Eastwood and an orangutan.
I suppose you think I'm crazy traipsing across the country after a girl I hardly even know. Hell, I'm not like Orville. It takes me a long time to get to know a girl. Even longer to let her know me. You know what I mean? Hell, I'm not afraid of any man, but when it comes to sharing my feelings with a woman, my stomach just turns to royal gelatin. I don't suppose that ever happens to you, huh? Well, I guess you just keep howling till sometime they howl back, huh?
Now, you can't imagine Dirty Harry talking that way to anybody, let alone an orangutan.
He'd shoot the orangutan.
Well, yeah, he wouldn't tolerate. Yeah, if he saw an orangutan loose, he would. That's probably what he'd do. He wouldn't, that's what Dirty Harry does. But not Philo Beto. Philo Beto confesses, has lovely conversations with this animal that he cared about, that he saved. He saw it in a cage and said, I couldn't have it that way, so he knocked the hell out of, 4 people?
He fought 4 people to win Clyde the orangutan.
Yeah.
The only friend he has, I mean, Lynn Halsey Taylor, Sondra Locke shows back up in the second one, and Orville, Geoffrey Lewis shows back up, and Ruth Gordon's in the second one too.
Sure.
But they've all got their own lives, and you can tell this Lynn Halsey Taylor thing's not going to work out. This Clint Eastwood's only friend in these movies is Clyde the orangutan.
Yeah.
It's who he loves. Yeah. It's his best friend. It's the only person who understands him.
Pretty much, yeah. It's a beautiful relationship. It really is. It's almost like a buddy movie in some regard. But at least in the first one. The second movie, now this is probably due to the 2 different animals playing the part of Clyde. But I'm going to say the orangutan in the first, Every Which Way But Loose, seems to be having a better time than the orangutan in Any Which Way You Can. It seems a fun time, as much fun as an orangutan can have making a movie.
The first orangutan seems 70s, hippier, up for a very loose road movie.
Yeah.
Than the 1980s era orangutans. God bless them all. God bless them all. I do think also Clint Eastwood in the second movie befriends his big fight opponent.
Yeah, he's got that guy. Yeah.
He's desperate. He's so desperate for human contact. The only people he can reach out to are the people that he's going to knock a hell out of, because they're the only ones who understand him.
Right. Yeah. I guess that makes sense.
I guess at the end of the second one, he's also kind of friends with the Nazis, which is probably taking civility and vulnerability a little too far.
Well,
don't befriend a Nazi biker gang.
Shouldn't be friends with the Nazis of any kind, biker gang or not. But come to think of it, he's friends with everybody at the end of the second one. The Sondra Locke, that's a surprise, judging from the way her character changes. Now, she plays Miss
Lynn Halsey Taylor.
Lynn Halsey Taylor.
A country music singer.
/ grifter in some regards.
What is her grift exactly?
I don't understand it. Now, I guess she thinks she finds big dumb men that she has, relations with, and then they give her money, even though they don't think. Wouldn't it be easier just to be a prostitute? And I don't mean that in a terrible way.
It would be. In most cases.
But she wants you to fall in love with her, I guess. Then her friend Skylar, who is that her pimp?
I'm very confused. He looks sort of like a 1970s record executive.
Yeah.
When you see him at the end of the first one. Yeah. He's gone by the second one. All this is set up that she's sort of a prostitute. She's also sort of a country music singer. She's also sort of a bilker of big dumb men who like her. But then when Clint Eastwood keeps giving her money, like they try to scare him away, like none of that really makes sense.
If he's giving you envelopes of money just because out of the kindness of his heart, again, very vulnerable man, cares about her. you would just milk that for months, wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you just stick around? Why would you want to chase him off? Did she not like him? That don't make any sense. We still hadn't figured that out. If you watch that movie and figure it out, let us know, because she's trying to do something. We know that.
Listen, Jackie, whether you're a semi-prostitute, semi-country music singer, or sort of just a bilker of men who has sex on her own because she wants to, but then takes money from the men, whatever, she has the right to do all those things. Just because Clint Eastwood's like, but I'm a nice guy, doesn't mean that he can just force his way and drive to Colorado and force his way back into her life.
No.
Like, she has the right to say, you're just too dumb, and I knew you wouldn't go away, so I moved to Colorado with Skylar to perform at this club, which is also like the Palimony Club.
Which she should be able to do. You're absolutely right. She has every right to do that. But let's think about how, now, I'm defending him a little bit here. Think how they left. Last time he saw, there was a shotgun. She was crying. I don't know what's going to happen. And then next day, she just up and disappears. Now,
she did seem to be tricking him into thinking that Skylar was abusive and stealing all her money. And that's what makes him, in the most charitable reading of this, he's coming to rescue her from Skylar.
That's what he's thinking in his head. He's concerned for her. That's not like, I want this woman back, she's mine. No. He's worried about her. He's genuinely concerned. That's why he cares about her. He's going to find her. Now, I'm not saying he goes about that in the right way or whatever, but anyhow, that's why he's doing it. It's not that he's mad or holding a grudge. You know, it's not like a biker gang that's mad at him. It's not like he knew she was grifting and chased her around. He cared about her. Bikers were just mad at him for whooping their rear ends a couple times, I guess. He chased a couple of them, and then he beats a couple of them up.
Them's black widows.
Yeah, he's chasing her. They're chasing him. They're the only ones that chase him through two movies. In the first movie, we got them chasing him, and we got a couple of off-duty police officers, I guess. Are they on vacation? I'm not sure what.
They're on the beach with a metal detector when you first see them, right?
Yeah. Well, no, the first time we see him is we see him beat the hell out of him in a fight at the Palimony Club. First time we see him.
And then they're on the beach with the metal detector, which doesn't seem to be very cop-like behavior.
Well, the only time we see him be police officers was when they go over and, bother them all to find out where he's at.
Oh, where's that?
At the place.
I'm coming, God damn it. What do you want with an old lady?
Ma'am, we're looking for Philo Godot. Our records say he lives at this here address.
Well, your records are wrong. He lives at that address in the back. What do you want him for?
Just looking for him, ma'am.
Well, he don't live there anymore. He's gone off. Took that sumba bitch Clyde with him.
In the second movie, cops are replaced by gangsters, which is probably a better choice. These cops don't do much. He does fight cops in the second movie. That first fight is a big cop fight. Him surrounded by a circle of cops. He's fighting, who's it, Dick Durock, who is the Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
He knocks the hell out of him.
Big fella,
Oh, and our friend George Murdoch from Breaker Breaker.
Oh, George Murdoch, yeah.
The mayor, judge, cult leader from Breaker Breaker. Chuck Norris's first film, listen to our Breaker Breaker episode, he's playing a cop in this one. He beats the cops. You think he's going to get chased by cops, but he does not. For Clint Eastwood movies, let me just say, it's not great to cops. Like the first one, cops are dunderheads.
In the beginning of the second one, they're
dunderheads. And at the end of the second one, Clyde knocks the hell out of a cop. They leave him unconscious in the desert to be eaten by ants.
And Clyde also has this issue of going to the bathroom in the police cars. Yeah.
Yes, that's a running gag they set up in the second one, which sounds like I wrote it, honestly. Like, what's something we could do, or what's a runner for the second movie? Well, he could say, right turn, Clyde.
Good.
And he can shit in cop cars.
Well, why not? Yeah.
Take care of Clyde, will you? You know how he likes to crap in squad cars.
Now, that clip right there is from the movie. We took it directly from the movie, but that don't really sound like him. That sounds like, what do you call it, dubbing, looping?
That's weird. Yeah, was he just on the golf course and remembered that they forgot to set up the part about the monkey shitting in cop cars?
Maybe, I don't know.
He said, hey, somebody get me Fred Travelina. What's he like? Does anybody have Clarence Ducky Nash's phone number?
What are you going to do with a baboon?
Orangutan, Ma. Clyde's an orangutan.
Well, what's the difference?
12 ribs, just like you and me.
What are you going to do with him?
He's coming with me. Come on, Clyde.
Well, when are you coming back? When are you coming back?
Whenever it's time, Ma.
Don't seem right to leave a old lady alone. And what about my goddamn license? Oh, it's just 12 ribs. I don't believe any of that shit.
I tell you now, Ruth Gordon is one of the best things in both of these movies here. And pretty much everything she does is funny to me in these movies.
Because she's cussing.
She's cussing, and she also deals with the bikers at some point. She deals with police, deals with bikers. Funny both times. Now, in the second one, when the mafia comes over there, not funny at all. Not funny. They have a gun on her son, and yeah.
It's basically the same scene, except in the first one, when the bikers comes over, she pulls out a shotgun and shoots the motorcycles, and they explode on her front yard.
Literally explode. Whenever she's shooting whatever kind of bullets these are, it's quite a scene. It's a very good scene. Good quality
That's funny.
scene.
That's something you remember. You remember the monkey, right turn Clyde. You remember the bikers. You forget that they were Nazis. And you remember Ruth Gordon cussing and shooting a shotgun.
Yeah. You don't want to see Ruth Gordon actually threatened and scared. That's not funny.
She does cuss him out a little bit. She's like, why don't you go? And Geoffrey Lewis, Ma, don't tell him to fuck himself.
Because he has a gun to his head. Why? Yeah, he don't
in
want
the first one, she's going through the whole thing trying to get her driver's license. They have to give Oscar winner Ruth Gordon something to do. So they're like, why don't we have her try to get her driver's license?
Now, here they do give her something to do in the second one, but they take it away from her real quick, because I'm serious. I thought I was going to look forward to this through the whole movie. When the mafia gives Philo Beto the money, he gives it to Clyde to hide the money, right? And then...
That's pretty good. Give a monkey your money to hide.
Now, how do you want to heighten that a little bit more? You want to have Ruth Gordon watching that monkey and wanting to find the money that the monkey hid. Now, that's a movie's worth of business right there for Ruth Gordon.
If that was an HBO show, that's like a season and a half. That's like 15 episodes.
Under my old mattress. Humiliating. Outsmarted by a banana head.
She looks for it one time, and then eventually... he sends it because he doesn't want to fight. He wants to get out of this mafia business. He gives the money back, and then it's over. No more of her looking for the money. I was like, this is
of the second one is just her being horny.
Well, but that's it's kind of funny.
And then she disappears. So she gets laid. The second movie is very preoccupied with people getting laid. There's this whole scene in Bakersfield, Bakersfield apparently is the aphrodisiac of methed out California towns, because you want to go to Bakersfield. They always have country music star cameos. Why didn't they have Buck Owens in this? Saying, come on down to Bakersfield, we'll get you laid.
Hey, he wouldn't do that.
Feel your dick getting harder, fellas?
He wouldn't do that.
How wet are you, ladies?
Buck Owens wouldn't be like that.
How wet are you?
No.
I think that was his catchphrase.
No, it wasn't. Don't say that about him.
Wasn't that one of his albums from 1966? How wet are you, ladies?
You're right
Buck Owens and the Buckaroos?
Just shut your mouth. You're right about one thing. When they all get there, we got to see Clint Eastwood. You got to see the two orangutans fool around. You got to see Clint Eastwood fool around with Sondra Locke, which quite honestly, I thought we'd seen enough of that in the first one, so we didn't need that here. But
I'd rather watch the orangutan.
Well, yeah, and then we have this older couple. What's a woman?
It's Ann Ramsey.
Throw Mama from a train. Throw
Mama from the train. Ann Ramsey and her real-life husband. If you've seen this movie and you didn't know, real-life husband from upcoming Redneck Matinee movie, Walking Tall. I think he's in Walking Tall, Walking Tall 2.
He is, yeah.
Which we're going to get to all those, folks. Just bear with us.
Yeah.
They're screwing in a whole real-life Ramses couple. Not Ramses like the rubbers, but like Ramses. Ann Ramsey and her husband screwing in a hotel room, turned on by the orangutans. Everybody, listen, the second movie, if you think about it, a lot of people get horny being around this orangutan.
It's true. I have to say that. But
Ann Ramsey and her husband, Clint Eastwood.
And his real-life girlfriend at the time.
His real-life girlfriend, the motel clerk who's peeping on somebody.
Hey, get away from there. It ain't right to watch folks go humpity-bumpity.
Hey, baby.
Oh my God, what have I done? The first live one in 20 years, and I disabled him. Oh, come on, sweetie. Oh, that was just a little tickle to loosen you up, you know? Now, I tell you what you do. You get yourself a good eyeful. Come on, just look right in, enjoy yourself, and then when you're ready for a little romp, I'll be in the office.
Was it clear who that motel guy was peeping, Tomming on?
He could either the old couple, Clint Eastwood, Sondra Locke, or orangutans. He's watching one of those three.
Maybe he's going from window to window, room to room, and likes to mix it up. I mean, a lot of times I have 3 or 4 tabs open in Pornhub.
All right, I don't want to think about him. No, either way, they keep making jokes about everybody doing, having relations. She ends up Ruth Gordon. I think, is she gone after that? Once she has
they
sex,
take her back. They see
oh,
her
she's all happy. She don't talk anymore.
She don't talk anymore.
Why keep her around? Yeah.
Then they take her back, and that thing at the end, Geoffrey Lewis says, "I got a telegram from Mom said she got laid again," or something like that.
All
so
right. But the reason she's not talking is because she's so very satisfied from the relation she had with this man,
later
the Peeping Tom
on,
man.
There's Peeping Tom man. She's encouraging him to peep, and then to get it on with her. Movies, sexual politics are all over the map.
Yeah.
Then there's another creepy motel owner, which is, true to life, and a desk clerk looking at Playboy and wanting to get it on with the orangutan. I'm not clear what he thinks. I guess he figures out it was an orangutan, and then tells Clint Eastwood that the orangutan's a menace.
But he flashes him is what he does. He
doesn't know what the orangutan is. He thinks it's a woman. That's what they tell her because they're sneaking her in. They tell the desk clerk it's a woman.
They have orangutan, which is nice to see. It's like E.T. He's dressed up like a woman.
And then the orangutan flashes him, and then I think he
flashes the orangutan first, and then the orangutan flashes him back, and that just sets him all off. Not a very good depiction of hotel owners in this film. One of them spying on you, one of them, revealing himself to you.
And Clint Eastwood does tell the hotel owner that Clyde's not interested in human sex.
He's a menace. Goes around peeking in windows. Ogled at me last night while I was getting it on with 2 young beauties.
Look, Clyde has no interest in human sex. What were you doing, getting it on with a couple apes?
Get out. Out!
Which I'm not 100% sure Clyde doesn't have interest in human sex, because there's a very disturbing scene earlier in the picture. Maybe the first usage of the orangutan as an aphrodisiac, when Clint Eastwood is sleeping next to the monkey with the monkey's arms wrapped around Clint Eastwood. Then Sondra Locke comes in. Well, let's just play the clip.
Mind if I come in?
Not at all.
What was that?
Just a cookie I was saving till later.
Well, never mind. You can have me instead.
You're looking now.
People, it's not clear from that horrible, awkward, gross clip we just played, but the monkey's right next to him the whole time in the bed.
He's in they're laying down on the sleeping bag.
That makes it better.
No, well, I mean, it's still a man and a woman.
And a monkey.
Yeah.
Orangutan.
Orangutan has his hand on it.
The hand is there when Clint Eastwood's like, well, come on, get in. And then the monkey's hand is on like their hands. Like, okay, no looking, but I guess touching's okay because you're already doing it. Like, I don't know what happens. And in the morning, the monkey kisses Sondra Locke before it looks at its monkey clippings and then goes outside. And then, this isn't even the only, okay, so this is obviously an implied threesome. And then, later, at the end
of the movie when they're in the truck, because he says, they have a habit of breaking into zoos and
we've seen it in 2 different movies.
Tranquilizing lady monkeys to take home or for him to go do it there, whatever it is. But then he
does not see female orangutans as people. He sees them as sexual playthings for Clyde?
Well, this is what concerns you at the this is what we're left with at the end of the movie, which is setting up, I guess I'm grateful they didn't make a third one if this was going to happen, because he's got
third one would be them going after Dorothy Stratton.
Yeah, well, he opens up Playboy, a centerfold, looking at it, and shows it to Clint Eastwood, and he's basically like, well, we're going to have, may have trouble getting this one for you.
It's going to be a tougher time on this, but I'll give it a shot, old buddy.
At least he said it's going to be difficult. I mean, hopefully he was trying to dissuade him saying that.
They look at a centerfold. Clyde says, here's what I want next, Daddy. And Clint Eastwood's like, well, this is a good one, but I don't know. And then Clyde's like, no, remember, he opens the glove box. You taught me to drug women.
Pulls out
a medicated banana that's basically...
Everything's easy with this, remember?
Remember how you taught me to talk to women and to get what I deserve? Incel Clint Eastwood?
I was always curious why there wasn't a trilogy. I guess I'm grateful that there wasn't now, but because both of these movies were so successful, like, well, why wouldn't they make a third one of these? But maybe it's best that they didn't.
Smokey and the Bandit 2 adds Dom DeLuise and an elephant. Clint Eastwood Monkey Movie 2 ups the sexual assault. So maybe it's good Clint Eastwood didn't make a bunch of comedies. Jackie.
Yeah?
A lot of people wonder whatever happened to Clyde the Monkey from these two movies.
Oh, I'm going to guess he's retired, relaxing, eating bananas all day in the nicest cage you could get him, and just flipping off people when he feels like it.
Yep, that's right. Don't Google it.
I don't Google it. I don't know how.
Because if you do Google it, you will find a lot of conflicting information.
Oh.
A lot of it says that the orangutan from the Clint Eastwood movie was killed by his trainer on Every Which Way But Loose, and that's why there's a different orangutan in the second movie, Any Which Way You Can.
What?
But don't worry, Jackie, that's not actually true.
Good.
Manus the orangutan played Clyde in the first movie, and after filming, he returned to his place in Bobby Berosini's Orangutan Act in Las Vegas.
Las Vegas, that's where Elvis kind of did his later work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was disgraced in 1989 when a dancer secretly taped Berosini punching and slapping his orangutans backstage.
What?
At the Stardust, and sent the tapes to PETA. PETA did not love it.
Well,
they closed the show for a little bit, but Berosini was soon back performing there again amid protests. Berosini sued PETA for defamation and invasion of privacy and was awarded $3.1 million.
For beating up a monkey?
It's good money for beating a monkey.
That's awful.
That was overturned by the Nevada Supreme Court, because they're basically like, you can't just be backstage with your goons holding a monkey down while you slap him.
Well, good.
And be like, my privacy.
There should be laws about that.
Then he kept appealing that and losing, and he was ordered to pay court costs. Eventually he moved to Branson and then to Costa Rica. I think Costa Rica to avoid paying court costs. The thing is, I'm not sure what happened to Manus. They don't really say. He was just sort of absorbed back into the act, and then all this happened to Berosini. If Manus the orangutan has passed away, I only hope, in the name of mercy, that it happened before they moved to Branson.
Well, orangutans, they age out. They get to be a certain age when they get up at, you can't work with them anymore. They're dangerous.
Yeah, like Joe Biden. So they replaced Manus in the second movie, Any Which Way You Can, with Buddha from an animal training Hollywood company called Gentle Jungle.
This is monkey number 2.
Monkey number 2.
Any Which Way You Can.
Any Which Way You Can.
All right.
Did I say Any Which Way But Loose?
I don't know.
It's hard to keep it straight.
I think you did fine. But, yeah, you can tell when you watch it, this is a different one, by the way. It's kind of obvious.
Yeah, and Gentle Jungle, I mean, that sounds like a great name for an animal company.
I hope so.
Buddha was beaten by his trainer and died.
What?
That's what the internet says.
This is awful. People just beat these animals to death.
Listen, though, Jackie, here's where it gets confusing on monkey number 2. According to an August 27th, 2008 column by Rachel Abramowitz in the LA Times, she says, according to Visions of Caliban on Chimpanzees and People, this is a book by Jane Goodall, famed primatologists Jane Goodall and Dale Peterson.
I know her now, yeah.
The original Clyde was trained with a can of mace and a pipe wrapped in newspaper. He was viciously beaten the day before filming to make him more docile.
What?
Near the end of filming the sequel, Any Which Way You Can, the orangutan was caught stealing donuts on the set, brought back to the training facility, and beaten for 20 minutes with a 3.5-foot axe handle. He died soon after of a cerebral hemorrhage.
This is awful. This is what happened?
And the Telegraph UK in 2017 wrote, when Buddha stepped out of line by eating a donut, his trainer reportedly beat him to death with both a cane and the handle of an axe. Even more horrifically, the trainer got away with his crime as abusing primates wasn't illegal back in 1980.
That ain't true.
Listen, this is why it's confusing, because some of the information in the Jane Goodall book is or in the LA Times recap of the Jane Goodall book is not true, because there was two different monkeys.
It wasn't Manish. It was the other one that got... We don't know what happened to Manish, but the other one got beat to death.
And then just saying that you could kill a monkey in 1980?
No,
I mean...
I don't think there had to be some kind of law for that.
I mean, on the one hand, everything was full of lead and asbestos. But on the other hand, you couldn't drive over 55. Also, was the judge like, you found the loophole. I have no choice but to let you walk out of this courtroom as a free man.
Did he go to court over it? That's what it's saying? I don't understand. I don't know who to believe on any of this stuff.
Also, like, monkeys are expensive. Like, they're more expensive than donuts. I can go to Krispy Kreme and get a box of donuts for like $8. But they ain't got no monkeys that can tear bumpers off a car.
Well,
but I guess kids are expensive and people beat them all the time.
Well, that's true.
So if you look online, you see this story repeated all the time about the monkey getting beat to death, but there's not a lot of corroboration that doesn't go back to the Jane Goodall book. And a lot of people start quoting this LA Times article, which is not even an article. It's just an opinion piece as an article. I did find this one interview on a website called Cool Ass Cinema, where he interviewed a special effects artist and animal trainer named William Munns, specifically about this. He says, you frequently worked with animals, and most famously with Ralph Helfer and Boone Nar. That's the animal trainer who's accused of beating Buddha, the orangutan. Do you recall anything about this long-standing rumor that the orangutan used in Any Which Way You Can was beaten to death? This guy says he took his animal classes at Gentle Jungle in 1979. The orangutan used in that picture was originally named Buddha, a fairly mature male. Boone Nar was the animal trainer, was his primary trainer, and a truly excellent man who never mistreated animals. The girl orangutan was actually also a male from the Dallas Zoo, so they named him Dallas. But once the movies became so popular, Buddha was called Clyde, like in the movie, and Dallas was renamed CJ for Clyde Jr. CJ, Jackie, just so you know, remember the TV show Mr. Smith about the monkey in Washington?
That's CJ?
And also Bo Derek Tarzan. CJ was in that.
Well, I didn't watch that one.
So, Buddha did die after the movie was made, but the cause of death was never determined to be trainer mistreatment. But this is interesting, Jackie. Boone trained Buddha to flip the finger by extending Buddha's second finger up and then putting a donut on it for Buddha to eat. So, all the trainer had to do was show Buddha, the orangutan, a donut, and he'd flip him off.
Well, that don't make any sense that he would beat him for wanting to get a donut, because he's using them to train. None of that makes any sense.
Do you think the donut story got put into this beaten to death story?
I don't know. None of there's so many different stories. You don't know which one to believe, especially if it's all on the computer. Hell, I don't know.
Well, here's we do live in weird times. Like, I can't even tell what's going on in Washington, let alone unraveling the 40-year-old murder mystery about a chimpanzee.
Orangutan.
Back to the Cool Ass Cinema interview. The main source of Buddha's mistreatment, this is the guy who writes Cool Ass Cinema. The main source of Buddha's mistreatment and eventual death seems to stem from a 1985 National Enquirer article. Other sources have propagated this rumor likewise using the same terminology, making the same errors in the process, even down to the film's title as Every Which Way You Can. Lord knows that's easy to say. There's a book out there from 1993 by Jane Goodall and Dale Peterson titled Visions of Caliban. In it, the author suggests animal abuse by way of 3 observers, 2 of which are named Kenneth DeCrew and a Robert Porek, who claimed to have witnessed Nar beating Buddha, the orangutan. He asked if he knew those men. William Munns said, I knew most of the trainers then. Those names don't ring any bells. Boone was the lead trainer, one of the best and kindest trainers I knew. But just to interrupt, I did look up Kenneth DeCrew, who was a real person and has a website where he mentions training Clyde, but does not mention anyone getting beat to death. And he has a novel out called Almost Human about human-chimp hybrids.
What?
If you want to read that. Listen, you can go down. If anybody wants to do just an orangutan podcast, Jackie, are you up for? Unfortunately, Gentle Jungle had a series of real animal tragedies. This is back to the interview.
Good God.
Some animal rights fanatics. This is the William Munns. They blew it all out of proportion. Sultan, the best tiger, died 2 weeks after being tranquilized to be dyed black for the Beastmaster. He was over-tranquilized because the vets overestimated his weight. Then an elephant, Misty, who had a mean streak, killed the head zookeeper at Lion Country Safari.
Maybe she had a mean streak because they had her in captivity.
Listen, I know William Munns is saying they blew all this out of proportion, but I don't know how you blow some of this out of proportion. Remember when that elephant committed murder and everybody blew it out of proportion?
Had a mean streak.
But, and then he goes on to say, I'm sorry, folks, when am I going to get the chance to talk about chimpanzee murders?
Orangutans.
Munns goes on to say the zookeeper death was the man's fault in that he wasn't qualified to handle Misty and she would get wild around foolish people. So between Buddha's death, this is still him talking, Sultan's death and the zookeeper's death, it's not funny. The animal rights fanatics went on the warpath against Ralph and Gentle Jungle. Ralph owned the Gentle Jungle, and made a lot of false or wildly exaggerated claims, thus starting the rumor about Buddha. Listen, this is me talking now to Jackie, my friend. Just because PETA spreads it and it's in the National Enquirer don't mean it ain't true. And Visions of Caliban, the Jane Goodall book, says that the other sources are in affidavits, sworn affidavits. I don't know how to find affidavits, Jackie.
Neither do I.
I went to the library and got this Jane Goodall book, but I don't know. I guess Karina Longsworth knows how to find. Tyler Mayan Cole can get an affidavit, but I don't know how to find an affidavit. So other than the National Enquirer article they mentioned, which I also can't find National Enquirer from 1985, I guess because, Grandma cleaned out her attic, I can't find any other news articles about the death of Buddha or Clyde. It's just not online. It seems like if a famous orangutan or chimpanzee, which is it?
Orangutan.
It seems like that would be big news if it was beaten to death by a trainer.
If Clyde, if I heard that, even today, which I am right now, I'd be horrified.
I can find plenty of other Gentle Jungle headlines from newspapers in the 80s, such as Elephant Kills Fleeing Zoologist and 2-year-old critical after tiger attack. But I can't find that they beat Buddha to death, so that's why I'm a little suspicious. Now, I don't know. I'm not going to say he was not beaten to death because this all sounds super shitty.
Well, yes.
Boone Nar, the trainer these sources are accusing of murdering this chimpanzee, has worked for, what was it? Orangutan. 40 years. He worked on Pirates of the Caribbean. He worked on Cats and Dogs too. He worked on, I think he trained the Paul Reiser dog.
Who?
Just a shit ton of huge movies. And we all know, Jackie, in this country, it's very rare for people to get rewarded for doing the worst possible thing. But the whole thing is on his Wikipedia page about beating him with a can of mace. They take that and they say, as reported in the Los Angeles Times, but that's just the Abramowitz opinion piece we read at the beginning of this monkey part of this podcast.
So we're never probably going to get to the bottom of this, as far as I know, unless one of these people personally reaches out and explains to us what happened to Clyde or Buddha or Manish or CJ.
Yeah, unless one of these animal trainers wants to talk to us about killing a monkey, I guess we're always going to be in the dark. I mean, Jackie, I don't know. I just wanted to prove one way or another so that we can enjoy these already very problematic Clint Eastwood movies without also worrying if they killed a monkey. But at least I guess we can enjoy the elephant and Smokey and the Bandit too. Why, did you Google it?
I don't know how to Google. I'm just assuming it's awful.
So join us next time for Smokey and the Bandit 2.
Hey, thank you kindly for listening to us here on Redneck Matinee.
Whatever podcast place you're listening to this at, please give us a rating and a review.
And if you want to hear us cuss at Trump, go over to listen to us on the Red State Update podcast.
And if you really liked us, please go over to the Red State Update Patreon and give us a little jingle jangle.
Thank you kindly.